I mean, and the reason why I keep returning to the past, Kevin, is really that's the only way that we can try and figure out the future and to see how that's a prologue in any way, right? Because right now we're just seeing cut-ups on our phones where Caleb appears to be struggling more often than not, whether that's fair or not. It probably isn't. But the idea is this coach the right guy to do it? Is this setup the right setup to do it? Is this roster as ready as we thought it was last year and has been improved on the line since then? And those are the only questions we have until we see the first Monday night game of the season in Soldier Field against, by the way, the Vikings, who won 14 games last year, and a quarterback who was chosen 9 picks later by the Minnesota Vikings, getting his first shot. And if he comes out looking more polished, despite having, obviously Justin Jefferson and other weapons around him, that's going to be, I think, front and center for the Tuesday after week 2 for you, Kevin, right? That's it.
I was going to say, Rich, you're going to have to do Overreaction Tuesday for that one.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Fishbain,
not to step on anyone's toes in your studio there.
I appreciate that.
Because you're right. I mean, that matchup, if J.J. McCarthy has a great game and if Caleb Williams doesn't have a great game, I cannot even imagine what the reaction is going to be in this city, in Minnesota, across, the NFL. But, it's part, when you bring up the Ben Johnson element of it, and I'm saying this as someone who's on their 5th head coach as a beat reporter. And
wow.
Shoot, you just brought me on after Mary Kay. I don't even want to, I can't.
That's right.
I can't compete
She's
with
holding
her.
your beer, Kevin.
That's true. That's true. I don't want to compete with what she's had to deal with there. But if Ben Johnson's not the right coach, it's like you kind of sit there and be like, well, who could be? I mean, this guy is everything that this team has wanted, everything that multiple teams have wanted. And I do wonder, Rich, Ben Johnson, he's details. And how does that work with Caleb Williams, who does some amazing things off script? But the thing about Caleb Williams is he does want to be in the pocket. He wants to sit there in the pocket and get the snap and go and make his reads, go through his progressions. And last year he was out of the pocket a lot because of the offensive line in front of him and a lot because he would maybe exit too early. So I just think that you always hear coaches say, I am going to tailor this game plan to my players. I'm not going to make them just fit what I want to do. And look, you just hope that Ben Johnson seems like the guy who's going to do that, who understands that, who's going to help put him in his position. He's got this offensive line now with Joe Thuney and Drew Dahlman and Jonah Jackson in front of him in the interior. Mm-hmm. You have Colson Loveland, who, by the way, you talk about guys who've looked pretty good at camp, Rich, and I don't know if you're familiar with this Colson Loveland.
Yes, sir.
Went to a decent university I'm familiar with. He's looked good. And you can see why the Bears would have want him in this offense because of the target he's going to give to Caleb Williams. And he's smooth in and out of his routes, and he catches everything thrown his way. So there's a lot to like about this. But I go back to the top, Rich. It's that level of patience. And is it fair to look at this as like, okay, you're starting over Caleb Williams. I know it's your second year, but it's the NFL. It's just so hard to be patient with these guys now. And you look at the roster around Caleb Williams and you look at what he did in college, you want him to just take off with Ben Johnson. And it's going to be a very interesting season to see what that relationship's like. Because as I said, training camp has not been super smooth, but maybe it shouldn't be because this is a brand new, very detail-oriented scheme that he's got to figure out the same way Jared Goff did.
So when do we see him? Do we see him in preseason at all, or the first time we see Caleb in this is Monday Night Football, week 1? What do you think?
I think the joint. I originally thought, Rich, that the joint practices would be. Ben Johnson's got 2 of them lined up. You got Miami coming on Friday,
right?
Buffalo a week from Friday, and it certainly seems like those joint practices are going to be so intense that they might not need to see in the preseason game. I think he should get out there for a couple series. I mentioned the delay games that we've seen in camp, the fall starts we've seen. I just think they need to get the operation figured out in a game setting. And they're going to do their best to simulate that in joint practices. But I think it's fair to try to do that at Soldier Field a couple times as well. So I don't think we'll see him a ton because it just doesn't. It seems like Ben Johnson puts a lot in these joint practices. But I think you got to get him out there just for a couple series in those games.
All right, Kevin. Thanks for the information and the idea. Chris Brockman, Overreaction Tuesday. We'll set that up.
Well, of course, we do Monday on a Tuesday anyway during the week.
Yeah. I mean, I guess so that would be September 9th. Write it down. Thank you for the idea, Kevin. We'll write that down, and we'll chat again real soon. Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.